Let me see if the light might be different. A little bit better, I guess. Welcome, everybody. My name is Josh, and this is Lines on the Path. So happy to be with you all tonight on a Wednesday night. I, as usual, have so much to talk to you all tonight about. If for some reason my internet goes out, I guess I will be cutting this short. But for some reason, there's been a lot of outages today in my area, cell and internet. I want to pick up where I left off last night. And where I left off last night was this arc of salvation. The arc of salvation that began with Eve. And after Adam and Eve were seduced by the serpent in the garden, God had to kick them out of the garden, because if he would have allowed them to eat from the tree of life, they would have eternally been living in the state of hell that they were in. Now, keep in mind, at the end times, we are in glorified, resurrected bodies where we no longer have this darkness and evil within us that corrupts us all. Adam and Eve were in a different position. They were the beginning. So God kicks them out of the garden to save their life by letting them die. I know it sounds ironic or foolish to some, but that's what he was doing. He was bringing them salvation by allowing them to go and live a life of suffering. And with them going out into the world, they brought sin against God into the world. They were not the first sin. The original sin doesn't mean that bad things didn't happen before that. It means that now they had been in a covenant with God, and they had sinned in that covenant. They had broken that covenant. And so God had to correct this, and he began the arc of salvation, where he promised the serpent and Eve and Adam that he will put enmity between the serpent and the woman, his offspring and her offspring, and he will crush the serpent's head. The seed of salvation will crush the seed of the serpent's head, while he will bruise his heel. Now, this arc continued through, obviously, we see the first mention of the ark in Noah, where he's preserving God's creation. We see the second mention of the ark in the basket that Moses floated down the river in to save him from being killed by the Pharaoh, who was killing the firstborn of all the Israelites. The third mention of the ark is the Ark of the Covenant. And the Ark of the Covenant is the throne of God, where the presence of God dwelled during the time of the Israelites. Now, keep in mind that God was keeping his distance for a reason. He was making it to where the humans had to see what their world looked like, where he was not the guiding force. He was giving them an outline. He was giving them a sort of guidance, but not in the way Jesus Christ does. The laws were not obtainable, but they were supposed to steer everyone in the direction of Jesus Christ. And finally, during the Babylonian exile, the Ark of the Covenant disappeared. No one knows exactly what happened to it. The best explanation is King Nebuchadnezzar took it and melted it down for gold. God allowed this all to happen because he said in Isaiah 43, Isaiah, the prophet that really ushered in the new era, said, "Remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. The wild beasts will honor me, and the jackals and the ostriches. For I will give water in the wilderness and rivers in the desert, to give drink to my chosen people, to the people whom I formed for myself, that they might declare my praise. Now we see here the desert and the wilderness were places that were seen as nightmarish back then. You had all kinds of predators, all kinds of dangers. You had wild roving packs of thieves as well, who wanted to rob people who were out there without protection. There was all kinds of things were happening. And Jesus Christ, and God was making way in these hard places, foreshadowing what is to come. That's what Jesus Christ does to us. He enters into our suffering, giving meaning and purpose to it, and then he empowers us to go back out into those dark places. But he doesn't send us alone. He sends us with the Holy Spirit. He gives us a way in the wilderness, gives us water in the desert. If we trust in him, we will find our direction. We will find our purpose. We will find our meaning. So I've been thinking a lot about the way we should be thinking about starting our relationship with God or building our relationship with God. And I think that the best way to kind of get your mindset on a relationship with Christ or going deeper into that relationship is by boiling it down to, we are going to die. It's going to happen. Sorry to break the news to you, but it's going to happen. We should live every day, every moment like it's our last. Not in a hedonistic way, not like I'm going to go and drink as much as I can. I'm going to go rob a store. Who cares? It's the last day. No, figure out what's really important to you. Figure out what brings you fulfillment. Don't just keep giving in to the base desires because those are what feels good temporarily. This is your eternal existence at stake. Don't be in fear of that. Rejoice in that. It is a deep and profound journey, an exploration of our Lord and Savior. Getting to know him is something we can do eternally, and we will always have that deep thirst, and he will always quench it. So I really do think that we go mining for the deeper meaning in life. We go mining for the deeper purpose. We try to seek the reason why we are here. We let go of the temporary things, the things of our desire. We don't hold on to anger. We forgive, because if we hold on to the anger, if we try to fulfill that anger in vengeance, if everything offends us, if we play the victim, if we sit and feel sorry for being in pain all the time, or the trauma or tragedy or the depression or the anxiety, then we're going to bask in that darkness. We are not even allowing ourselves or allowing God to free us from it. If we truly give ourselves to him, if we truly let him empower us, every footstep, every thought, every action, every word, then we will find deeper meaning, because we will live a life in rich love, profound forgiveness, grace, hope, mercy, humility, peace. And that love, it sustains us. So I'll get in more into that here, but first let me get to everybody. Welcome, everybody. There's Katie and John. Great to see you all. And Ken's here. Joshua. Joshua, was Adam and Eve seduced, or did they not know any better? Just a question. they were told, do not eat from the tree. You can eat it at any tree. So let's say, I'm gonna try to think of it a good analogy. I've tried to give this analogy before, so I don't remember if it was any good or not. Forgive me if it's not. Your friend has this crazy, we'll just say a magical house, right? And it is able to, you were able to fulfill every one of your needs there. Every single thing you could possibly desire is there. It is the source of all that is good. It brings you joy and peace just being in that place. And he says one thing: just don't eat the bag of Doritos or the bag of chips that's in the cupboard. That's the only thing I ask you. I'm letting you stay here. I'm letting you live in my house that I built for you. Just don't eat those chips. Those are mine. Those are off limits. And what do? We go and we eat the chips. And he tells us, if we eat those chips, you're going to die. You're going to die, right? The stakes are even higher. We go and we eat those. We're like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I'm going to go eat those chips because somebody told me, a little snake when I was walking out in the garden told me, man, you eat those. He's lying to you. You're not going to die if you eat those chips. You're going to have full control of the house. You're going to know everything. You're going to know things that he doesn't want you to know. That's why he's telling you not to eat those chips. And see, this is what God is doing with this free will. What God is doing in all of our struggles. He's showing us that we have this deep desire to go into try to be our own God, or to try to make a God that is convenient for us. We have a pride and an ego in everything that we do. Everything that we do. And we do. We absolutely do. And that pride is the root, is kind of the source of all of the sin. And that pride has to be dealt with because it is necessary. Remember, I've been over this a lot. I know, again, you guys unbelievers don't believe me, but it's fine. But it is necessary for us to have sovereign free will. God gave us free will in Genesis 1. He made mankind and he said, give them dominion over all the earth, all the things in the earth. Everything in this physical domain is mankind's. And domain, in the ancient Hebrew, the word for domain, it meant being sovereign and free choice. Reign over this territory. So that sovereign free choice is God making us in his image, which means we are here as a representative of God. It doesn't mean we look like God. It doesn't mean he's a physical man. No, God is spirit. He took on flesh as Jesus Christ, but God is spirit. So we have an obligation to be ambassadors to God, but we can choose not to be. We can choose not to be. We absolutely can. We all have that in us. We were all created for that, but that's what this life is for. Our choice. That's what the choice in the garden was for. Our choice. Are we going to choose to be a God in the world and of the world? Or are we going to choose to be one with the source of all that is good, the God of all, of the universe? To submit to him, or ultimately to submit to the powers and principalities that control the earth. Because as soon as the serpent seduced them, is what the devil was doing. The serpent seduced them because he was luring them in to grab control. It was the first part of the three major rebellions in which the devil and the fallen grabbed and seized control over all the world. And they remain in control, but they do not have dominion over Jesus Christ. And he comes to regain our birthright for us. So each of us, when we are born, we all have that birthright. We are given that birthright. We have dominion over this world. However, the devil still controls everything. And we immediately, when we reach the age of understanding, we immediately seize or hand that control over to the devil. All of us. There's not one person who doesn't. Because all of us sin. It's in our nature. And while it is necessary for love to exist, it is necessary to have free will as God does, then he had to take care of that problem in a different way. And he used struggling, suffering. The first thing Adam and Eve encountered when they left the garden was the thorns. Those thorns are an instant understanding. Hey, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto or whatever from Wizard of Oz. There's not perfection here. There is, even the vines are pricking my skin. So we see that God uses suffering as a means to our salvation, as a conduit to him, back to perfection. And this time it is perfection, not only the Eden that will be returning to earth, heaven returning to earth, it's perfection because we have confronted desire and temptation and all the darkness that leads to sin head first. We have dealt with that problem. We haven't just cowered from it. We've been inoculated to the darkness now. And now we are prepared to truly be children of God. We have informed consent now to enter into a relationship with God or to remain of the world. Hey, Ricky Matthias, everyone is offended by everything, but are ashamed of nothing. That's absolutely right, Ricky. That's absolutely right. Okay, I missed a lot here. Let's see. Oh, that's awesome, Katie. Going to Dolphin Island. That's awesome. That's great. A secluded island. That is exactly I could go for that for sure. I hope you have an amazing time there. Or I don't know if you've already left or not, or if you haven't even gone yet. Andrew says, can you share your testimony? Yes, Andrew. So if you want, I will give a very brief testimony, but if you want to see my full testimony, please go to the description of this video and any other video I've done recently, and you can click on the link for it there. It has some videos from that day as well. But to sum it up as quick as I can, I was disabled for 13 years and really just had everything that mattered in my life stripped from me. I couldn't work anymore. I was in constant pain. I lived in poverty. I had friends that just abandoned me, and the ones that didn't, I kind of pushed away because I was isolating myself. Um, a lot of a lot of family and some of the friends that had stuck around had gotten very sick and were dying off. Some very close family committing, taking their own lives. Um, and My wife had two miscarriages, and then finally, when my father had a major heart attack, and then my mother, as he was recovering, had a major stroke and was bedridden from it. Um, that is when I just I didn't want to live anymore. So I wanted to go. I was ready to take my own life. I was trying to figure out a way to make it look like an accident, so my family would not be ashamed, and hopefully they could move on easier. I felt like I was a curse on my family's life, that everything that I touched withered and died. And so I went out. I kind of believed in God, but I didn't really think about God too much. I thought if there is a God, and he is a God who intervenes, he really has cursed me. There's no way that somebody could live through, feeling sorry for myself. No way that anybody could live through as much crap as I did and not be cursed. I went out and I prayed genuinely for the first time in my adult life. I didn't expect any answer in return, but I said, Lord, if you were out there, please just show me you're out there. Just show me a sign, show me a way out of this hell that I am in. And not even 10 minutes later, a white-tailed doe comes running out of the woods. I was walking along the lake shore. In fact, I might even have a picture of the lake shore here. I was walking along the lake shore, and um, I hear something running towards me. I wasn't sure what it was. It was actually, let's see. So you can't really see it too well, but um, this is just part of the lake. I got that because there's a cypress tree there. Um, I was walking along the lake shore. The doe comes running out, and she bows down and lets me pet her. And then she walks down onto the lake shore with me. There was like a little ledge there because it was dried out, kind of like it was that day. She walks down to the lake shore with me, and then walks right beside me for about an hour and a half. Well, the first hour, she was literally right next to me where I could touch her back. And then she was running a little bit ahead and a little bit behind. Here's a picture of the doe that came running out of the woods. And instantly, I felt an overwhelming hope, a peace beyond all understanding. I'd been crippled by social anxiety for the whole time I was disabled, and that was gone. It's been just over 3 years. It was 3 years in November 18th of last year. I haven't suffered once since that day, even though I'm in constant pain. Sometimes it gets very bad, the pain, but I haven't suffered once from it because I trust in Christ now. And I go out every single day. And like today, I went to that exact place today. Um, and I went out there and I talked to God, and I did my prayer, and I was listening for how he was responding to me. And he always responds to me. But sometimes we're so wrapped up in the things of the world and thinking about, oh, am I going to pay this bill? Oh, I got to go do this. Oh, no, I've got to get this done, or I have to have a surgery or this or that. And whatever it is, even can be menial things, meaningless things. And we get wrapped up in it. I've said a lot lately, if you get wrapped up in fear and anxiety of the future or what might be, or guilt and shame of the past, what could have been or should have been, you are not in the present with God. You are not able to hear what God is telling you. You are not focused on where God is leading you. So, this is one of the most important things that I've learned, that we need to be in the present with Christ. Believe me, it's a work in progress for me as well. But we need to be in the present with Christ so we are able to focus on where He is guiding us, where He is leading us. Okay, let's see here. I'd like to find a deserted island too, Joshua. It'd be very nice. I'd like to be in the mountains, away from everything. Okay. Ken says, "Why didn't God destroy the devil in the beginning again?" Um. Okay, so actually, Ken, I need to send you the same thing I sent Furry. Um, uh, David Furry was. Uh, I was having a little discussion with him on Discord, and Ken, I don't even know. Or Ken, are you even on Discord? I don't think you are. You might be one of the only ones who aren't. But if you are, let me know. I'll send it over to you. But if you want to, you can easily find it. It's a pretty popular video. Alex O'Connor just did a video with I forget the other guy's name, but they're both agnostics. They were both going through the common arguments against God and pointing out the weaknesses in the arguments. But there are many views on what God was doing and how He was doing it. But as to why He didn't destroy the devil, God, some people think that God is making a decision in the moment. I don't agree. This isn't how I think. He's making a decision in the moment, and as He's creating, He's seeing as time progresses, because remember, He lives outside of space and time. He's seeing as time progresses each of the choices, and accordingly, he's guiding all towards His will and His purpose. So, for instance, well, not for instance, it is clear that God loved the devil greatly. He said he was his favorite child. He was honored in heaven. He was so beautiful. So God makes all of His children, every single one of us, including the angels, they're no different. And we choose to go bad. God's not going to not make us just because, oh, well, He's going to one day be very bad. No, God's going to use our bad choices, even us rebelling against Him. He's going to use that for the greater salvation of mankind. This is like if you had a beautiful son, and you loved that son so much, but you were certain that he would grow up to be a serial killer. Are you just going to off him? He's the next Hitler. You're going to off him? Now, of course, what we do makes no difference. We often project our personality and persona And our decision-making skills, which is so limited, it is limited to just our knowledge and our very, very scant understanding of reality, we project it out to God. We always do it. It is literally, I don't know any, not any unbelievers who do not do this. I don't know very many Christians who do not do this, by the way. We're always trying to project our understanding in the way, well, I would do it so much better. If I was all-knowing, if I was all-powerful, if I was all good, I would do it like this. But once again, even though the devil rebelled against God, even though he caused so much, who's to say that something else wouldn't have caused that? Because we have to have choice. The devil's rebellion was necessary. Without that rebellion, there would be no love. True love would not exist. You would have an empty, shallow existence without suffering in your life. We see it through the scriptures. We see it as Israel goes in times of peace and plenty. That is the time when they fall away from God. That is the time when they go and start burning children at the altar. They start getting more and more depraved. And then God would lift, in the book of Judges, he would lift his protection on them, allow Philistine or Babylon or whoever to come in and take them over, enslave them. And then they would be in immense suffering, immense pain, a dark and difficult time, and they would cry out to God again. They would actually focus not on being like in the Epstein files, right? The people in the Epstein files, they wouldn't be living like that. They'd be living righteous and honorable lives because they're focused on what is important, not fulfilling our desires, but searching for that deeper meaning in life, that existential meaning and really finding the purpose for us being here, finding the meaning of life. Hey, there's Kingdom Card of Aces. Great to see you. Jesus can continue to give us his loving grace and mercy as he conforms us to his likeness. Amen. Okay, where am I? I know I missed a lot. I apologize for anybody I missed here. There's Truth. We love you so much, Truth. God bless you. And, please, if Truth posted a GoFundMe for her friend, if anybody has anything extra to donate, please, it's in the Discord. And I'm sure she will post a link here if you need it. But link for the Discord in the description. Prayers to her family and all of you who loved her. God bless you all, Truth. We love you so much. Ken says, how could Satan be his favorite if he has full knowledge of what Satan would do? I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question, Ken. I would be taking a guess at it, but I would be saying that he loves each and every one of his creation. He loves us dearly. And once again, I don't think that he rules like some tyrant. I think he's truly allowing things to play out. He really is. And he's not looking forward because remember, he's using our broken constructs, the broken constructs of mankind, the broken fallen world, in order to guide us to salvation. It is absolutely necessary for suffering and evil to exist. So he's showing, maybe he's showing, hey, I'm going to love you until you make that choice to truly turn against me. And for mankind, by the way, who does not know better like the angels do, for mankind, we absolutely turn away from him and we are given grace. We are saved by faith through grace, which means faith working through love. But the grace part is because we will continuously cheat on God. We will be unfaithful to God over and over and over again. But Josh was, Ken, I guess God works in mysterious ways, and a laughing emoji. These are the kinds of, I get it. It doesn't make sense to us. And any answer I give is going to be, oh, they're coping again. There they go coping, because that's what unbelievers do. Never giving the benefit of the doubt, never trying to understand what God is doing. It is always accusations of the least charitable view. And any answer to that question, whether it's right or not, because I don't know the inner workings of God. I don't know the way in which he views things. I'm not a timeless, spaceless, immaterial being that created everything. I can't tell you how God operates in that way. I can tell you how God saves us, how God brings meaning to our life, how God entered into our suffering so that our suffering isn't in vain. He gives meaning and purpose to this life, which again, as an atheist, you have no meaning and purpose in life. You don't. You can just conjure up some meaning and purpose. Like, I'm going to make my meaning and purpose about this. I'm going to, because it's all a cosmic accident, so there's no reason for anything. Really, the only reason you don't go out and just be a complete degenerate, going and robbing every place you can, is because you're scared you're going to get caught. Or maybe there's something deeper inside of you. Maybe there is something that Jesus Christ instilled. Maybe there is a radical love and forgiveness inside of you. But it's too foolish for you. It's too much foolish. Well, look at this. God created Satan, and he could have not created Satan. He could have not created Hitler or Stalin or Mao. Man, he could have just not created every bad thing. He could have. Yeah. And what would that be? We would be those baby birds who never left the nest, never even learned that they had wings to fly, never truly growing, because how do you grow if you don't struggle? You are weak. I say this over and over. God paints his masterpiece on a canvas of darkness and chaos. God is holding the darkness and chaos at bay constantly, every millisecond of every day, for eternity, as long as the universe lasts. He's doing this, and he creates us in his image. He's like, oh no, you guys are special little snowflakes. You need to, you're just going to exist in no struggle, no suffering, nothing bad's going to ever happen to you. We're going to shelter you. We're going to give you comfort all the time. And if you do that with someone with free will, we see with Adam and Eve, they have free will. And that free will is going to lead them to pride and ego and narcissism. It's going to lead them to darkness and sin. It always is. The only way God can create this utopia that you all are projecting that he should be creating if he's an all-good God is if God created slaves and robots. That's what atheists apparently want. God should have created slaves and robots. That's all he should have created. That there is no meaning, there is no purpose, there is no underlying anything in our lives. It's just blah, we exist. Yeah, things are good here. Things are great. I am so happy. I don't know what sadness is, but I am so happy. Don't know what evil is, but it's all good. Don't know what darkness is, but it's all light. No, you cannot even perceive any of these things. You cannot perceive the greatest good without having at least the opportunity to have the greatest evil. You cannot. Whoever is forgiven a little, loves a little. Whoever is forgiven a lot, loves a lot. And those of us who've gone astray, those of us who've been broken, we appreciate when God saves us, when God stitches us back together. We are just a lumpy glob of wet clay because the earth has just beat us down. This life has beat us down. And God forms us into who we were always meant to be. And it's always the unbeliever saying, I don't like the way God did it. God didn't do it the right way. I would do it the right way. I know what a good and loving God should have done, and he should have done it this way, or he doesn't exist, or he's not good. I told the story, I think the other night, about the most loving and most just king. And the most loving and most just king, somebody went to him and said, somebody's been stealing from the royal court. He said, okay, 10 lashes. 10 lashes when they're caught. And then, and then they stole more money. He kept stealing more and more and more, and he kept upping the punishment. Okay, they keep stealing more. 20 lashes, 30 lashes, and finally 40 lashes, which is a death sentence. And then they caught who did it, and it's his daughter. And everybody's like, what's he going to do? He's perfectly just and perfectly loving. What's he going to do? Is he going to let her off and prove that he's not perfectly just, but he's only perfectly loving? Or is he going to punish her and prove that he's not perfectly loving? Either way, he's going to not be one or the other. And they put her down there. They put her over the bench. They rip the back of her shirt. The guy with the whip goes up and is holding the whip, and the king says, stop. He runs over. He rips the back of his shirt open, and he lays over his daughter, and he says, go. Whip now. Whip her now. And the guy with the whip says, no, my lord, I can't. I will be hitting you. He says, do it. Give her the full punishment. And so, 40 lashes and the king dies. This is what Jesus Christ did for us. You can keep nitpicking all the little things. God should have done this. Well, God didn't do this, so I don't believe. God took on the punishment that we all deserve. What do you think the king's daughter was thinking at that moment? The king's daughter that was so rich and so spoiled, and she just kept stealing. She's like, nothing's going to happen to me. And there it is. She stole so much that she got a death sentence, and her father, out of love, took that death sentence for her. That's what Jesus Christ did for us, the greatest act of love ever committed. We can absolutely keep on trying to intellectualize our way into oblivion, because anything at all can be intellectualized into oblivion. But you don't treat anything that matters in your life truly like this. You don't. You don't sit there, and if you do, then you're probably just miserable. You don't sit there in every single relationship you're in. You're like, bet you they're going to betray me. I'm going to watch them. I'm going to keep an eye on my wife because I think she's maybe going to cheat on me. I'm going to make sure I'm going to go through her phone every night. I'm going to just be as skeptical as possible because I think that something's up. I don't trust the love that she claims that she has for me. I don't trust it. I'm not going to give it I'm going to give it the least charitable view. My wife, the least charitable view. I'm going to make sure that I am a toxically skeptic about everything my wife does. You don't do anything close to that in your life. Some people do, and those people are miserable. And they will remain miserable. No. You love because God loved you first. You are told what Jesus Christ did for you. You can absolutely not believe it. You absolutely. Ken says, I don't think I can do it better than God, but I do know what I'd prefer, Josh. Yeah, exactly. We'd all prefer. This is what I'm saying. This is what pride is. Pride is, I am God myself, or I'm going to construct a God or even an idea of God that is convenient for me, what I'd prefer. And you are welcome to that, Ken. You are welcome to worship the God that you prefer, which is ultimately going to be yourself. That's it. That's it, because no one else is going to live up to your standards that are ever shifting, ever changing. If you can't put your faith in what Jesus Christ did for you, then that's your choice. He's never going to force himself upon anyone. If you think, again, I've always said, if you think there's a more fruitful lens in all of reality, you're welcome to it. If you don't want to live by, you're saying, no, Christianity, I'm going to base it on all these people that I know who call themselves Christians, who are absolutely flawed and broken, and I'm going to project that out to what Christianity truly is, and that's what I'm going to base it on, and that's always going to fall short. It absolutely is. But again, I don't know why you guys care so much then. I really don't. I don't know why you would even waste your time then. You know what Jesus Christ supposedly did. You don't believe in him. You think, I prefer better. So go and seek that better then. Go and seek something that is greater than Christ. Why waste your time here? Why waste your time in this at all? You absolutely. Let me see here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, you said, I don't think I can do it better than God, but I do know what I prefer. Yeah, you think that I'm saying that's absolutely pride, Ken. It's absolutely pride. You said I admitted I couldn't do it better, so you think it's not pride, but no, it's pride that because you think there still is, because what you'd prefer to be better, play it out in your head. What do you prefer to be better? that God never made anything bad to begin with. That's I'm guessing what you're that's literally all I hear from you and Joshua is why God do this, why God do that. It's never truth-seeking questions. It's questions that are manipulative. They are. They're questions that are manipulative. They're mocking. I see Joshua mocking all the time. Because any answer that I give, cope. I hear it all the time. I literally watch thousands of hours of I don't know, Ken, who you watch, but you seem to have the similar responses to as Joshua. The main line of popular atheists, and it's all the same reasoning. It's all the same objections. Again, I don't know how much more I can respond to you on it. I don't, because it's always mocking, it's always doubting, it's never, I'm going to genuinely try to see what God is doing here. I'm going to genuinely try to see and seek the answers to this. It's always, no, God doesn't exist, God's wrong, or if God does exist, he's evil. Always the least charitable. And if you can conjure up in your head something you prefer, then work that out. Lay out everything you prefer, Ken. Lay out everything that you think that God should be and that what you'd prefer better. Lay that out and see what kind of God that would be. And ask the same kind of really skeptical, ultra skeptical to the point of toxic skepticism, ask those same questions about the God that you created. In fact, lay it out for all of us so we can come in and poke holes at it the way you do with God, with Jesus Christ. Because Jesus Christ is the only one who gives meaning to the suffering. He is. He's the only one. He's the one who shaped the world around you. He gives you the freedoms and the luxuries that you take for granted every single day. He does. He gives you the equality. He gives you the fact that there's no slaves, because there wasn't even a thought of ending slavery before Christianity. There wasn't. I talk about ancient Greeks and Rome a lot on here because that's the time that Jesus Christ was living in. And during that time, sex was no different than urination. It really was. They had the similar word for sex and you know what. To be penetrated was to be considered inferior. They did it as a power play. It was literally just them the Greek and Roman men just basically relieving themselves. I talked about this last night. You think the people and the things that they are accused of in the Epstein files is bad? You think that's bad? That was regular life. That was actually not even close to as bad as the regular life was in Greece and Rome and to the neighboring communities. That was commonplace. I don't think any of you truly understand, truly even comprehend how despicably evil it was. That Jesus Christ and then his apostles were pushing through a tsunami of darkness, a tide of evil and crushing hopelessness, and bringing that light and that hope to it. I don't think that you all comprehend it, but with the allegations, the Epstein files, people sleeping with and eating children, Believe me, it was a lot worse. That's what a world without Jesus Christ goes to. It really is. It always devolves into that. Paul came and went into these horrible places in Greece and Rome, and he made it clear that we are all one in the body of Christ. There is no slave, there is no free, there is no master, there is no male or female. They're like, what are you talking about? Of course I'm superior to my slave. Of course the man is superior to the woman. Of course the adult is superior to the child. Of course the Greek is superior to the Jew. What are you talking about, Paul? He brought hope to the hopelessness, to those poor, barmaids, the little girls who were just used as sexual toys. He brought hope to those little boys that were just being horribly sexually abused. He brought hope to the woman who she better know her place. And then the man, he wants to go out and he gets sick of the wife, go out to the brothel. Corinth and Galatia, man, those places, especially Corinth, those places were known for their depravity. So much so that you had, love triangles going on, mentioned in Corinthians. Paul was going there to show that there was a much better way. That this was only going to lead you to more darkness. But you can continue to keep making your point that, of course, if we can't truly comprehend what God was doing in one way or another, if it doesn't live up to our standard of what a good God is, allowing suffering, how dare you, when he literally gives the reason over and over and over. Jesus and the apostles give the reason for that suffering. To free us from the slavery to a life that looks like the Epstein files, but much worse. I know that none of us think about it, but I guarantee you, if someone made a movie of all the worst things you've ever done and ever thought and was going to show it to the world, they were going to release it in every theater, you would do everything in your power to stop them. You would get violent to stop them. Because we are all depraved. We are all broken. We are all lost. We all have dark thoughts. We all gravitate towards this darkness. This is our broken, fallen nature. We are so lost in the darkness, we don't even recognize it because that's just the way things are. That's just life. We never feel the weight of it. Sure, sometimes we may feel some shame or disgust at ourselves, but whatever. We don't recognize how much that truly crushes us. And then it becomes our identity. Look at all the online adult content, the thing that rhymes with corn out there. I don't know very many people that I grew up with. I don't think any of my friends group that I grew up with that didn't look at that on a regular basis. It's just part of life. And there are such depraved things that happen, not even just within the videos, that we start thinking, we start treating women as objects, we start treating all of our relationships shift, even our non-sexual relationships shift, because that corruption seeps into us. It is part of the ugly world that we live in. Okay. Uh, hey, Fireborn, welcome, my brother. And Christopher, good to see you, brother. There's Furry. Let's see here. 1 second here. Okay, sorry guys. I was looking at this. I'm trying to find a good place to start here. I was trying to see if it was better to look at it on this other device. Okay, hello, Taco Joe. Paul told people not to get married because the world was ending. He said that it's absolutely a possibility. It's probably the best way to go. It's not just because the world is ending. It was much more than that. It's so you can focus your life on God. But he said that, yeah, probably most of you aren't going to be eunuchs for God. You're not going to cut yourself off from all your lusts and desires, so go and get married. That's what he said. You better go and get married. That's what Jesus said the same thing. You might as well just go and get married. Not everybody cut out for this. And not everybody is. Hey, Barry, welcome, brother. Sorry I meant get over your trauma, brother. It ain't good for you. Let's see here. I'm jumping into a bunch of conversations here. I'm sorry, this is all out of contact. Hey, Drift. Hey, man, I was just going to live live to live and telling what Jesus can do for them. I'm glad I'm not the only one that sees Jesus like me. Absolutely, brother. Yeah. Okay, so I understand because I can remember it was only 3 short years ago. I remember what I thought. I might not have been a full-blown atheist, but I definitely would have considered myself agnostic, leaning theist, not really concerned about it at all. So I understand. And Christianity absolutely looked like foolishness to me. It did. It really did. It really did. I mean, I loved the teachings of Christ, but to me, it was just like a moral guidance. That's all it was. It's just a rule book. That's just that rule. That's what a lot of unbelievers see the Bible as. It's one big rule book. Here's a book of rules, and if you don't live by them, you're going to hell. That's not at all what that is. It is an intimate, personal God, 40 authors over the course of thousands of years that wrote a book that I know unbelievers absolutely say there's all kinds of contradictions in it, but there's not. There is literally not. The things that they call contradictions are not contradictions. They are not thinking philosophically minded. They're not. They're not even trying to understand what genre it's written in, what style. They're not trying to understand the original context. They're not trying to understand anything because they have an agenda, and that agenda is Christianity false. I'm going to prove it false. I'm going to use this foolish book. But again, if you're not a believer, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, you cannot understand what the Bible is saying. You cannot. I say this, and many of my unbeliever friends get mad. I'm sorry. But you are automatically going in with your bias saying, God not real. You are. And you are not deeply seeking the wisdom that God is giving us in those verses. We see just, all the arguments for God, and you guys know the personal transformation, billions of lives radically transformed, the entire world radically transformed by a poor carpenter from Nazareth who would have not been even a footnote in history if he was not who he said he was. If he was, as C.S. Lewis said, he was either a lunatic, a liar, or Lord. If he was a lunatic or a liar, there is no way that Judaism would even be around today, and Jesus Christ would not have been even a footnote in history. Judaism still exists because of Christianity. And the fulfillment of the prophecies that were written hundreds and thousands of years before Jesus Christ even walked on the earth, where there is a one with 157 zeros behind it, which is, if you want to take those odds, that's perfectly fine. Likelihood that he was able to fulfill those prophecies. I know it's foolishness to the unbelievers. I get it. I understand. But once again, no one can answer me. No one can even tell me what is a more fruitful lens. I keep seeing people try, and they will pick and choose things from Christianity. They will steal things from Christianity and try to mesh it into their own worldview. We have human rights. Oh, why do we have human rights? If there is no God, it's basically just what I think. There's no foundation for objective morality. There's not. We have those human rights because we are made in God's image. If you don't believe that, then there is no reason to think that the homeless person living under the bridge is somehow equal to you. There's no reason to think that the disabled people, we should be sacrificing, the strong should be sacrificing for the weak. There was no perception of charity. Charity before Jesus Christ existed was people giving only in order to benefit themselves better. So charity would be like giving towards building a better society, a better way to train slaves, or there were hospitals, things that you might call hospitals. They were mainly for the slaves or for the royalty. Not mainly, that's all they were for. There were a few little places that you could call hospitals for slaves because those were property. It's like your car breaks down, got to go send it into the shop to get it fixed. Or royalty was given special treatment. Not until Christians came along was there anything even remotely close to public hospitals where the poor, the weak, the oppressed, the persecuted, the broken could go in and get health care. The orphans were actually cared for instead of just discarded as sex toys or just left in the woods to die. I really do wish, and I know it's probably not going to happen. I really do wish that my unbeliever friends would read Dominion by Tom Holland, the historian Tom Holland, not Spider-Man. He's an atheist. Should be nice and have the same kind of mindset you do. He said he had that mindset going into writing that book, and I'm seeing him slowly but surely. Looks like he's becoming a Christian because it is overwhelming that Jesus Christ shaped everything in this world around us, everything that we take for granted. And there's Tate. We got the whole unbeliever crew tonight. Ken says, "I believe only in things that can be proven." stated as truth. If you believe only in things that can be proven, then you don't believe in anything, pretty much. You know, maybe a couple of scientific and mathematical things, but really, you what if we're in a matrix? What if we're just in a simulation, Ken? Well, that breaks down all of reality. Then nothing. Absolutely, do not have personal relationships. You cannot measure out or scientifically prove the love that your wife or your parents or your children have for you. You cannot. And if you think that you can, okay, you are lying to yourself. It's a category error. You're trying to use things that you use for math and science, and when you're trying to apply those things to God, you're trying to apply those things to history. It's really, like I said, this kind of thinking that I was mentioning for that a lot of and I know exactly where it came from. It was, let's see if I can find it. I forget the guy's name. It was, is it Peter? Peter? No, not Peter Thiel. Manual for Creating Atheists. Who wrote the Manual for Creating Atheists? Let's try to see. Peter Boghossian. Okay. So Peter Boghossian writes this book called The Manual for Creating Atheists. And he puts out all of these. It's not about seeking truth. It is 100% about making people question even their very reality. They are using manipulative, prodding questions. For instance, we can apply it to anything else in history. You ask someone, I brought this up the other night. You ask someone, who was the first president of the United States? Like, well, George Washington. Well, how do you know that? Well, my parents and then my school taught me, and I read it in the textbook, the history books. I read a couple good books about. Oh, so you believe everything your parents teach you, your teachers tell you? You believe everything? You believe everything you read in books? Man, again, the first book that I read that George Washington was the president of was from the 1980s. You believe that book from the 1980s? You don't think that history's been updated since the 1980s? That we know more about history since then? You can intellectualize everything into oblivion. You can start poking and prodding at anyone's belief on anything and make them question reality. It is not an honest pursuit. The Manual for Creating Atheists by Peter Boghossian also says that, and this is repeated by all, not all, okay, Alex O'Connor, he doesn't use this argument, but Matt Dillahunty, Aaron Ra, I believe Christopher Hitchens even used it when he was still alive. Richard Dawkins used it quite a bit. He's kind of fallen off the face of the earth because the atheists don't like him anymore. There's all kinds of top atheists. I believe the Apologia uses this as well. Faith without belief. And faith is belief without evidence. Or it's pretending to know things you do not know. That is not at all what biblical faith is. It's not at all. It is not believing without evidence. It's not pretending to know things you don't know. That's not it at all. We know because there is a mountain of evidence. There is no more extraordinary, another thing that Alex O'Connor was talking about in his last video. We need to stop saying evidence. There's never a standard for what that extraordinary evidence is, but again, name anyone or anything that is more extraordinary evidence. He's the most studied figure in human history. He is by far not even light years ahead of anyone on the list. He's in a category of his own. It's reframing. It's poisoning the well. This faith without, is belief without evidence, and the Manual of Atheists said, again, this is the marching orders, this is the talking points for atheists. It is. It is a way to get you to stop believing because they think that religion is toxic and that the world would be a much better place for religion. And Alex O'Connor both used to think that, and now they have radically changed. They have radically changed that. They are actually cultural Christians now. They probably go to church more than most people watching this who are Christians, which is really wild. Redefining atheism and agnosticism to make it, this is something that happened with the New Age atheist movement and with this book, redefining atheism and agnosticism to make no burden of proof on the atheists. Absolutely no burden of proof. Just lack belief. That definition is ridiculous. It really is. It is only defined as that, so no matter what, the atheist does not have to defend their position. No matter what, it's all put upon the believer, always. Faith isn't a way of knowing, it's a way of trusting. There is absolutely nothing better to trust in than Jesus Christ. Nothing. Christ gives us reasons to trust him through his teachings, through his works, and through the way that he personal experiences with him, the way that he changes your life and changes the world. Asking people why everything they believe, why on everything they believe, putting people on the defensive to instill psychological doubt. As I said, how do you know George Washington's the first president? You really believe what your teacher and your parents tell you? You really believe everything? Man, aren't you a gullible idiot? Wow. It makes you question everything about reality itself. You can believe in nothing. These are actual psychological arguments. They're psychological arguments to make people feel like they're crazy. It's like this, okay? It's like if a vegan, a vegan says anyone who is not a vegan or anyone who is a vegan is against the brutality towards animals. So everybody who's not vegan is obviously pro brutality towards animals. They thrive on that pain, man. They're sick individuals. Any atheism, really, any atheism outside of nihilism is importing Christian values. It is. pure, unadulterated nihilism. By the way, Solomon, in the book of Ecclesiastes, you see this really in depth. Solomon deconstructed his faith. Solomon became separated from God. He was not really a believer. He was going out and worshiping other gods, in fact. He had deconstructed his faith, his relationship with God, until the agony, the desperation within him, the sheer hopelessness and despair in his world just ate him alive. Finally, the last chapter, he understands that the meaning of life is a relationship with God. That is the only meaning, the only purpose, the only thing that will bring you true joy and peace. Here we go. Infrared Moses. Jesus has given us no reason to trust in him since he did not fulfill the messianic prophecies in the Old Testament in their original context. If we are skeptical, we have reason to be. That is the absolutely most ridiculous thing. I know the video I was watching, it's an older video on unwrap, says the same thing. And this is, again, it never is a new argument. It's always just these recycled arguments that have already been debunked. You can go to Isaiah 52 and 53 and Psalm 22, and you can see, you can import your own. 3 is about a suffering servant. It is not about Israel. It is not. And if you read it, you understand. You can see what I'm saying. In fact, let's go read it. Isaiah 53. Let's see. Who has believed what he has heard from us? And to whom has the armor of the Lord been revealed? For he grew up before him like a young plant, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no form or majesty that we should look at him, and had no beauty that we should desire him. Let's stop right there, because I hear from Aaron Ra, that is absolutely hilarious. Those aren't prophecies. But we're going to stick to this right now. Let's just say, okay, this, but it's being written for whom then? If it is being written for the Gentiles, the non-Jews, that's the only way it makes sense. We were stopping very early on in this prophecy. That is one of the most powerful prophecies, if not the most powerful prophecy for Jesus Christ. And we're saying, this is about Israel. But who's the we here? Who's the we? He had no form or majesty that we should look at him. He had no beauty that we should desire him. He keeps on using this royal. And it is their messianic savior, the suffering servant, despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And as one who men hide their faces, he was despised and we esteemed him not. I've got a more condensed version here. I'll read it. Let's see here. He has borne our grief and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken. Who's the we? Pierced for our transgressions, crushed for our iniquities. Yeah, Israel was pierced for our transgressions. Through his wounds, we are healed. We are all sheep who have gone astray, turned to his own way. He was oppressed and afflicted, a lamb led to slaughter, yet he opened not his mouth. He was cut off of the land of the living, stricken for the transgressions of his people. Yet it was the will of the Lord to crush his days. The will of the Lord, wait, he was cut off from the land of the living. Now he's going to see his offspring. Now he's going to prolong his days. What's going on there? The will of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. Out of the anguish of his soul he shall see and be satisfied. By his knowledge shall the righteous one, my servants, make many to be accounted righteous. He shall bear their iniquities. Therefore I will divide him a portion with the many. He shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he poured out his soul to death. He bore the sins of the many and makes intercession for all the transgressors. He intervenes on behalf of all the sinners. Wow, sure sounds like Israel to me, huh? Again, you read the language it was written in, you read the original context. There's a reason why you go to the synagogues now, and almost never are Psalm 22, Isaiah 52 and 53 ever even mentioned. Ever even mentioned. They tried to get rid of them altogether, by the way. Thankfully, they were preserved by Christians. What was happening, unfortunately, after Christ was the Jews were desperately trying to take all the Christology out of the Old Testament, out of their holy Torah and Pentateuch, and the Christians were trying to take the Jewishness out of it. But neither one serves it justice. Neither one does. Because Jesus Christ is absolutely the suffering servant that was promised. You can't read, for instance, we'll go back to Genesis 22. One of my favorite, which, again, you're like, it's not a prophecy. All Scripture, every single bit of it points to Christ. Every single bit of After these things, God tested Abraham, and to him, Abraham, he said, here I am. He said, take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go up to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains, which I shall tell you. Abraham had two sons. Isaac was not his only son. This was also the first place that the word love was mentioned. Mount Moriah just happens to be the place where Jesus Christ was crucified, and right next to where the city and temple of Jerusalem were. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took his young men with him, two of his young men with him, and his son Isaac. He cut off the wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place that God had told him. On the third day, Abraham, 3 days, riding a donkey up the same place Jesus Christ rode a donkey into Jerusalem. He's riding the donkey up. Jesus Christ was gone for 3 days as well. Abraham's living in agony for 3 days, saying, please God, anything but this. Take me, take anyone, not my beloved son Isaac. Then on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from afar. Then Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey, and I and the boy will go over there and worship, and you can come again too. No. Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac. He's taking the wood and laying it upon Isaac. Jesus Christ is carrying the crossbeam, the wood, up into the place where he is going to be the sacrificial son. He is going to be the sacrifice to satisfy all the sins of the world. He took in his hand the fire and the knife, so they both of them went together, and Isaac said to his father, here I am, my son. Burnt offering. And Abraham said, God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. God will provide for himself the lamb. So they went, both of them, together. But they came to a place where God had told him, and Abraham built the altar there and laid the wood out uh, in order, and bound Isaac his son and laid him on top of the altar, on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord, Jesus Christ, shows up to the same exact place where he's going to be crucified and said to him, Abraham, Abraham. He said, here I am. He said, do not lay a hand on your boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing that you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram. Wait, Abraham said, a lamb. But there's a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up. This is just one of the many. And Jesus Christ didn't come just to fulfill the prophecies. He said he came to fulfill the prophets and the law. He fulfilled everything to perfection. All the shortcomings of Abraham and Moses and Isaac and David and Jacob and Elijah, Jesus Christ fulfilled all of them. And you can absolutely keep on listening to these toxically skeptic arguments that are going to be, oh, Jesus Christ didn't. I'm saying, because I'm importing my bias into there, I'm saying that this was not a messianic prophecy in the original context that Jesus Christ fulfilled, and so therefore not true. You're welcome to that view. You are. Rabbis say it, some Jews say it, and that's where a lot of Aaron Ra and people like that get their understanding from. But they don't want it to be true. They don't want it to be true. There's a reason why there's a few million, it's like a tiny little dwindling population of Jews, and there's billions of Christians. And it's the only global religion. It is. That doesn't make it true. I get it. But here's the thing. If Christianity appealed to our desires, appealed to our human nature the way every other religion and worldview and philosophy does, there's not one that I've heard that doesn't. Because who is going to follow a religion that tells you to sacrifice and to live not according to your desires? Christ shows you to live. Who, if you're a powerful Roman and you have, man, you can go sleep with your wife, and you can go sleep with all the prostitutes, and you are powerful overall. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to just stay loyal to my wife. She's equal partners with me in this marriage now. My children, who were just basically slaves, just basically workers on my farm or plantation or whatever it may be, they now, I will treat them with love and respect instead of just objects, just property. Everything I think I'm going to think differently because, yeah, this book's pretty good. Yeah. I think that I think I could probably be, not living for my desires. That sounds like a much more joy-filled life. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is foolishness. Jesus Christ brought hope to the hopelessness. That's how Christianity took root. Jesus Christ didn't come to the royalty. He didn't even come to the upper middle class. He came to the poor, the weak, the oppressed, the persecuted, the heartbroken. He came to the disabled. He said, You are my chosen children. You will be honored and highest in the kingdom of heaven. I'm sure all the powerful Romans and Greeks, yes, that's that's a that's a great point you got there. There is no other reason why Christians give you plenty of reasons. Carnal desires. Islam's going telling those men, shh, you die, the more loyal you are, the more virgins you're going to get in heaven. Your wife's still going to be a slave to you, by the way. You're going to get virgins in heaven. You martyr yourself for the faith, man, you're getting 72 virgins. Look at that. Everything appeals, besides biblical Christianity, appeals to our human nature and to our desires. Jesus Christ says, deny yourself, take up the cross. He said this before he was crucified, by the way. Take up your cross daily. The cross was the Roman billboard for persecution. It was a symbol of murder, a symbol of suffering, oppression. And by the way, it symbolized the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And Jesus Christ was able to bring salvation to all of mankind. No one in their right mind is going to think, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let's die a slave's death. Especially the apostles. We know it's a lie. Jesus Christ never resurrected, but we're going to say he did, going against all of our faith. And we're going to die a suffering death. Horrible, agonizing trauma to keep up this lie. The worldviews that are projected by unbelievers, they are so full of holes and so flimsy. They truly are. Okay, I was way behind there. Infrared Moses says the history. There's absolutely times when it was spread by the sword. What were those main parts that were spread by the sword? Usually it was spread by the sword when they were going into areas that still was doing things like child sacrifice, horrible, unspeakable things, practicing those atrocities. Sure. But where does it spread the fastest? It spreads the fastest. Again, there was no power for the first 300 years of its existence. There was zero power. It was literally just slaves and trash. Because the poor, the weak, the oppressed, the persecuted, they were trash. And it brought the Roman Empire and the Greek powers to their knees without. It was about radical love and forgiveness. And yes, I understand. There were many times that Christians did not act in the way Christ taught. Many times. They still don't act in the way Christ teaches a lot of times. But I truly believe if there wouldn't have been the Crusades, for instance, we're like, oh, the Crusades, it was horrible and unjustified. It was after 400 years of Islamic oppression where they were going into different countries, conquering those countries, enslaving people, scraping women and children. They were awful. They still do the same thing, by the way. Go look at Nigeria. People like to make Israel and Palestine a big cause for them. It pays Christians being slaughtered. Talk to our sister Nazia in Pakistan. She's a Christian in Pakistan. They are slaughtered in the streets. Oh, it's the sword, though. It's the sword. Everybody's so scared. No, there are authoritarian dictators that have always been terrified of the scriptures. That's why they outlaw it. That's why you cannot have the scriptures. That's why China has rewritten the scriptures. That's why the slave masters wrote the slave Bible, taking out all the parts about there is no slave or master. All are created in the image of God, giving them hope. That's what it does. It lifts the weakest, the poorest, the oppressed that have no power. It lifts them up. And it starts spreading up to the ones that do have power. And then the ones that do have power start seeing the atrocities in the world and put an end to it. I don't know how many times I can bring the Greek and Roman men, women, children, just slaves. They treated them however they wanted to. Sure, it was a big deal when an aristocrat or somebody's got a female got sexually assaulted, but nobody else, because it was just a power play. It was always a power play. You know, the wealthy would go in and they would. It was actually similar to remember the movie Braveheart, where all of the new brides, the king had first go at. King got the first rolling the hay with, because the king was all powerful and it was a power play. But children were born, set them at the feet of the father. If the father bent over to pick up the child, he was accepting it. Doesn't mean he pick up the kid. Then they took him, either threw him out in the woods or took him to the temple where he would be used as a sex slave or as a sacrifice to their gods. The atrocities that were happening make the Epstein files look like a child's movie. They really do. The atrocities that were just commonplace. And the only reason the world is not like that anymore is because of Christianity. It's the only reason. There is no reason why the powerful elites would ever cede power to anything else besides that. It was always might makes right, and that's the way the world always was. It continued on until really it started to change. It was they didn't even know what the scripture said, not until the time of King James, when the Bible became available to all, and then people really started understanding what the scriptures were saying. Then all of a sudden, the entire world changed. A reformation of the entire world, the entire West at least, because the Islam, unfortunately, are still the same. Tate, I did some research on Nigeria. Most of the horrible violence is gangs and general anarchy. Both Muslims and Christians are being attacked, both primarily in general violence. Muslims have died more. Christians are slaughtered there. Tate, I think it was like 100,000 Christians last year or something. Something like a Christian is killed every 2 minutes in Nigeria. And you can go on and say, well, Muslims get killed too. Yeah. I'm not going to say that these radical Islamists, they absolutely are indiscriminate a lot of times, but they focus mainly on the Christians. Why? Because the Christians, They are peaceful. They know they are less likely to fight back, which that's not what Christ says, by the way. He says defending the innocent and defending yourself is absolutely fine. But good for them. Good for them. I really do think that people just like to ignore those places. And you go talk to Nazia in Pakistan about Pakistan, you can hide your head in the sand all you want, but it is, and that's not Boko Haram in Pakistan either. This is just the average run-of-the-mill Muslims just slaughtering Christians in the street, and it's not even a problem for them. They don't even get arrested for it or anything. Hey, VSP. Welcome. I see one of the ones you guys. Carl Leaf-Fluff. Christianity never lifted one person out of poverty or oppression. Sure thing, Carl. And welcome, VSP. It's great to see you. Oh, man. Okay, I'm trying to find a good place to pick up here. VSP says, oh, thank you, Violet. Thank you for the super sticker. VSP says, I feel Jesus keeps pulling me to the specific, and he wants me to do it, but I'm... thank you again, Violet. VSP, that's perfectly natural. It's perfectly normal. Now, remember, if he's not pulling you towards something that satisfies the fruits of the Spirit, let's see if I can... I'm trying to think of... So, you want to make sure you're acting in love, VSP. Joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such thing there is no law. Jesus Christ tells us we must crucify our passions and our desires, which means who we were, the broken world, and he goes into that as well, who we are, and he gives us kind of an example. The works of the flesh are evident: sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissension, division, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things like this. I warn you, as I warned you before, that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. This is still, there's a thing called it seems like a paradox to many, the Paul paradox. So this is a book written by the Apostle Paul, and people seem to think, because Paul is telling us that we no longer are under the law. We are no longer living under the law that was given to Moses. It is there for teaching us. It is there to show us how God guided the Israelites through that dark time, polytheistic religions at the time, but it was not to bring salvation. It wasn't. Salvation came only through Christ and what he did upon the cross. So people think that it's a paradox, what Paul is saying about we can't be doing these things. These fruits of these desires of the flesh are evident. Living by the flesh is evident in those things he just mentioned. But yet we're not under the law. So how does that make sense? Because when you are in a relationship with Jesus Christ, which is what Christianity is, it's not a religion, it's a relationship. When you are in a deep, loving relationship, you will do good for the person you love out of gratitude. So you see how Christ healed you and showed you mercy and grace when you didn't deserve it? None of us do, by the way. None of him. And through your love with him, you are given more love and more light in an eternal divine wellspring. And you go out and you give grace and love and mercy and compassion to everyone you encounter. Everyone, including your enemies, by the way. Now, that doesn't mean being a pushover. It doesn't mean what the world says is love. But you have a deep care and compassion for them. And if you do this, your life will be fulfilled. It will be rich. This is what I say to even the other believers who, again, I know they don't care. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain by living a life like that. Living a life of radical love, living a life of, I'm going to just give in to my desires. No, you go and you do things you do not want to do. You go and you, when you may not feel like it, you go out and you feed the homeless. You go out and care for the less fortunate. Whoever God puts upon your path, that is the most important person in the world. And you lift them up in any way you can. Even if it's just by being there. Sometimes that's the best thing to do, just being there for somebody to talk to and lean on. Okay. All right. Katie says fire Carl and Allison are the same people. Let's see what Allison we're saying. Alyssa or something. I challenge any Christian here to name one time that your God used kindness and patience to achieve a goal. One time. One time. Oh, man. Let's see here. Always was. I don't know if I said hello to you. And I know I missed a lot of people tonight, and I apologize for that. Welcome, everybody. For some reason, always was is saying lime eats flesh. It's probably true. We used to put the lime in the outhouse when we had this old place that was built in the 1800s, and we had an outhouse there. One to think about. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I literally everything Jesus Christ did was kindness and patience, to literally becoming a suffering servant. The most powerful God, being born as a peasant, living a life as a poor carpenter or stonemason, whatever he was, and then offering up his body for all of us. Again, just like the king, the perfectly just and perfectly loving king, somebody stealing from the court, he says, well, 10 lashes for them. And they kept on stealing and kept on stealing, until it was finally up to 40 lashes, which was the death sentence. People would die with 40 lashes. And then they found out it was his daughter stealing. They're like, oh, what's he going to do? He's either not all loving or not all just. If he lets his daughter off, he's not all just. If he punishes her, he's not all loving. As Christ did. They ripped her shirt. They were getting ready to whip her. And then he runs over and says, stop. He rips his shirt and lays on top of her, says, now go, now whip. And the whipper, the guy whipped him 40 times until he perished. proving that he was all loving and all just. That's exactly what Jesus Christ did for us. He takes the punishment. And how gracious, how full of gratitude was his daughter after that. That she deserved to be punished. She was being a little brat. She didn't even need the money, but she was stealing it. And so justice can be served. Her father took her punishment for her. It's incredible what Jesus Christ did. Everything he does, kindness and mercy, to do. Now, understand, unfortunately, most Christians are indistinguishable from the rest of the world. So yes, you're going to see people who are jealous and angry and bitter. And I pray that those people feel the Holy Spirit working in their life, because they don't have the fruits of the Spirit. They don't. Then there's unfortunately a vast majority that probably don't feel the Holy Spirit working within them. Not saying they're not saved, by the way. Not. Jesus says you must be born again to see the kingdom of heaven. But I truly believe that he was saying you must be born again to see the kingdom of heaven in this lifetime. Because I see the kingdom of heaven every single day. I walk through hell a lot of times, and the kingdom of heaven is with me. And very dark times in my life. The storms come, and it's going to always be that way until the end times. But I carry that love and that light with me wherever I go. Now, I truly believe the people who genuinely seek Jesus Christ but still don't feel that transformation, are not born again. You know, they were genuinely seeking, and they will be saved when they pass away. Because in order to be saved, you must first die. And Jesus tells us the loophole is, hey, see, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, so die before you die. Be born again. What does that do? It voids all the covenants and contracts you have with the devil. Rule this world. The reason everything bad happens, although nobody ever blames them for anything, it's God. It's God, because he's the puppet master up there, they think, with the strings. It's always what unbelievers seem to think. If they are giving any kind of, okay, I'll grant God's real, so he's just up there with his strings, pulling those puppet strings. No, you are granting certain parts of the Bible that really help your argument, and then denying all the others. So if you're granting what the Bible says is true, then the devil and the fallen rule this world, and they are the cause of all this evil, and Jesus Christ is saving us from it. And he does save us from it. I'm telling you, you don't have to suffer anymore. I think that people, I'm not just making it up. I have nothing to get. I'm trying to show you that I was broken to the point where I wanted to end my life. I was ready to take my own life, and Jesus Christ saved me. And he gave me a new life, one where I have not suffered once in 3.5 years, despite agonizing pain. It feels, and it's getting to the point right now, and because I've been sitting in this chair for a while, it feels like a knife is in my spine, and it's twisting, and it shoots all the way down my right leg to my big toe. Sometimes it feels like sharp, sometimes it's dull, sometimes it's burning and aching. Sometimes it's so bad I can't even lay a sheet on top of my leg because it is so sensitive to pain. And I haven't suffered once. I was living in poverty, and Jesus Christ, even though I do less of the, because I've been disabled. I was doing, some eBay and things like that, trying to make some money. But yet I focus on this where, I don't really, I make a little bit, probably not, probably maybe 25 cents an hour. So I put into it. I'm thankful for it. And somehow 13 years I spent, 13 years worrying sick, literally physically ill, how I'm going to keep a roof over my family's head, how I'm going to pay the bills. I was shifting one credit card to another until credit cards are like, no, you're not, we're not playing this game anymore. Then I'm like, what am I going to sell? What am I going to hawk? What am I going to do to pay these bills? From the month I was saved, I have never paid a bill late. And I paid bills late almost every single month for 13 years. Not once have I worried or struggled to pay a bill. Some other people, when I can, somehow it makes no sense. And this is not why you do it. Christ isn't offering you like the prosperity gospel or something where you give $1,000, you're going to get 100,000 in return. No. You are living a life where you are relying on what God gives to you, and it's going to be meager a lot of times. It's going to be trials and tribulations in your life. But instead of driving your car off a cliff, it is like a little bump in the road now. He takes the weight of the world off of your shoulders. You do not have to suffer anymore. You need to start thinking, like, genuinely. Start living every day like it's your last. Every day. Don't take this to mean that you should live in a hedonistic way, but you should search deeply for the meaning of every moment you're given. It's a treasure hunt. Focus your eyes not on the future, not on the past, right here, right now. What does God have for you to do right here, right now? Because God's not living in the future. You can't find his message in the future. You can't find his message in the past. That fear and anxiety, it's going to send you into a spiral. That guilt and shame, it's going to send you into a spiral right here, right now. Only. God has forgiven you. God loves you. Every day is a gift, but we are too contented. We are sedated. We don't want to even unwrap it. We don't even recognize it's there. Blessings all around. Explore your relationships with your family and your friends. Don't let them become stale and stagnant. Begin to make new relationships with everyone you encounter. The person in front of you at the grocery store could be the greatest friend you've ever met. Could be your next wife or your next husband. If you begin to operate on the understanding that a kind word or genuine connection is something that could save someone's life. I do this, and I try to do this. Again, it's always a work in progress. The people you meet pretend they are suffering to the point of suicide. They don't want to live anymore. Their life is unfulfilled, and their life is suffering. And you treat everyone with the care you would treat if your best friend or your wife or your kids even were feeling that existential agony. Learn the art and the discipline of love. Master the art of love, and you will feel the presence of Christ transform you. Do not be seduced by the peaks in life or broken by the valleys. Travel always upon the narrow way. So you're not living in a hedonistic way. I know if it truly was like the news came on and says there's an asteroid that's going to hit and we're all going to die tomorrow. There'd be people robbing liquor stores and going out and robbing pharmacies and things like that. No, it is urgent where the hope and the love of Jesus Christ, that is what will sustain you. That is what unlocks eternity, the kingdom of heaven. Eternity is written on all of our hearts. We have C.S. Lewis, I think, talked about how we have this deep hunger, this desire, like for reproduction, for instance. So we have our desires fulfilled through the opportunity to have sex, right? We have a deep hunger, a physical hunger. We get food. We have a need for air. We get air. We have a need for water. We get water. Every culture, every single one throughout history, in spirituality. There is not one culture out there that did not. Not one. And while that in itself does not prove God, it absolutely adds to the overwhelming evidence that there is God. Our consciousness, our creativity, the need to not live a life that is like those people in the Epstein files, because that is a life where when nothing matters, when there is no God, that's a life you would live. Why are you judging those people? They're just doing what they feel like doing. They're just quenching their desires. Who are you to tell them, unbelievers, that they are wrong? What basis do you have to say they are wrong? They feel that's societies collectively gotten together in some places, not all, by the way, some places, and said, no, that's wrong. No, we know because Jesus Christ instills that within us. He instills that need to have the strong sacrifice for the weak, not the other way around. He instills that need to be equal in the eyes of God. And not everybody has it. I get it. Not everybody feels it. Most people deny it. But society as a whole has gone that way. And unfortunately, we began to move away from it in the past few decades. But I think we're shifting back towards it again. Hello. Go here and use your AI gods for validations, all contradictions resolved. Yeah, there's no real contradictions. I mean, there's literally just people nitpicking at things. People, there's absolutely differences in testimony, like the different gospels. In fact, I think if all the gospels were identical, I mean, you wouldn't even need them. That would be more suspicious. It really would be. If you want to truly listen to somebody talking about eyewitness testimony and what you should expect from it, go listen to J. Warner Wallace at Cold Case Christianity, who was one of the greatest cold case detectives to ever live. And he breaks down why he became a Christian after trying to disprove Christianity. His wife became a Christian, so he's like, no, I'm not having this. He went to investigate it as he would his cold cases, and he specialized in cold cases that didn't have any trail of evidence or solve them almost every time. He said, not only is there good evidence for Christianity to be being true, there is amazing evidence for it being true. Like it's an open and shut case. You know, you look at, for instance, uh, like let's say somebody goes and tells somebody a grizzly bear robbed a grizzly bear robbed a donut shop, right? I know it's ridiculous. And it's supposed to be ridiculous, right? It's like, whatever, that didn't happen. Cops like, get away, I don't have time for this, right? That's weak evidence. But it's still evidence. It still is. It's weak. Now 10 people come up to the cop and they're like, hey, can you go do something? This grizzly bear just robbed this donut shop. Exponentially increase. It's not going to make it true yet, but it's still increasing it. It would require further investigation because it wouldn't be a silly thing like, okay, yeah, the grizzly bear robbed a donut shop. Okay, I'm going to go back to eating my donut, right? If the police officer then finds more corroborating evidence to back up the 10 claims, we then have much stronger evidence for the claim. We are building a case. This is how cases are built. This is how we know Jesus Christ was who he says he was, because not only were there's not just one, there's not even just four, there are 21 witnesses who give their testimony, and more that are mentioned in the scriptures and in the epistles. Paul says there were actually 500, and they talked to many of them. Some of them had already passed away. So we have this corroborating evidence all stating the same. Look at the archaeological evidence. The archaeological evidence, thousands of archaeological finds, more almost every single day. And they all confirm, not deny, what is said in the scriptures. Old and New Testament, but mainly New. And then you go to other evidence. You go to, well, there's these prophecies, which I know, I can't remember who was saying it, but those prophecies weren't fulfilled in the context in which they absolutely were. You can go and read every single book of the Bible and you can see Jesus Christ's story in there. You can see something that points to Jesus Christ. Every single one. But you don't have to believe. Again, you don't have to believe any of it. Nobody's forcing you to believe it. And if you don't believe it, then act like you don't believe it. Because I don't believe a lot of things, and I don't go and spend my time in shaming and trying to says, oh, I believe in flat earth, or oh, I believe in flying unicorns. I believe in, which would be, I guess, a Pegasus or something. I don't even know. I believe in dragons existing right now. There's dragons under the, in all the volcanoes. Well, okay, I just don't believe you. I don't lose sleep over it. I don't even care at all. They can tell me if I don't believe in that dragon that lives in the volcanoes, I'm going to hell. Like, okay, I guess I'm going to hell then. I guess I'll have to spend my life, my afterlife suffering because I don't believe in the dragon. Because you've provided me no evidence for that. You've made a claim and you've given me no evidence, but Jesus Christ is giving you a mountain of evidence. Not only are there the archaeological, the prophetic, and the eyewitness testimony, and the textual criticism to see that the Gospels were actually written in the time of of Jesus Christ, by the way, there's going to be no stone left unturned in the temple. What happened to the temple? 40 years after his death. Oh, the Romans sieged it, and then they set fire to it, and then the gold melted into the stones. So the Romans were literally breaking these 12-ton stones up. Not one left unturned to try to get all the gold that had melted between there. It's then you go to my favorite evidence, the one that led me to Christ, which is personal testimony, individual transformation. Billions upon billions of people have been and continue to be radically transformed, lifted out of things, addiction because of trauma, a lot of times, overcoming severe loss, like tragic loss. Sometimes people's whole families are taken from them. Horrible tragedies that most people are like, I don't blame them. I probably would just end my life. It's just awful to even think about. And they are lifted up and they were given purpose and meaning and hope to go on. And again, if it is still more evidence that Christianity is the only true global religion. Most of Islam is in the Middle East and North Africa. Most of Hinduism and Buddhism is in different parts of Asia and India. Christianity is all over the world, including those countries. But these things by themselves don't make them true. I get it. But all together, strong case. And if Christianity was like those other religions, and if it did appeal to carnal desire and prideful pursuits as these other religions do, Islam especially, even Buddhism and things like that appeal to prideful pursuits. If Christianity appealed to prideful pursuits, some parts of the gospel, prosperity gospels do, and things like that, those aren't the real gospel, though. If it did, then the fact that it was a true global religion wouldn't be as impressive. But it's telling you to deny yourself. It's telling you to live in a sacrificial way. It's telling you to do everything that you don't want to do. And you will find fulfillment within it. It is telling the powerful to. Okay, let's see. I don't know what that is. Let's see what. Hey, there's Yadid. Welcome, my brother. Yadid says, if they don't believe in hell, what's it matter? Absolutely. If you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in Christianity, if you don't believe in any of it, what do you even care at all? This is what I'm saying. It should not make any difference to you. Oh, Christians vote for their moral values. Everybody votes for their moral values. And name one set of moral values that is better than Christianity. They're like, oh, well, it's telling us we can't go stick our junk into the places we want to stick it all the time. Okay. Then vote against it. then vote against it. Literally, I don't know many Christians who were like, oh, yeah, it's going to be like completely illegal for you to go out and sleep with people of the same sex or whatever. That, it's like, the main thing I see Christians concerning themselves with when it comes to anything LGBTQ, which is the only thing I can conceive of any reason to even think about or worship out of school. Now stop with the indoctrination of that. And if you say there's no indoctrination, that's absolutely hilarious, because there's like an exponential growth of the LGBTQ. There is. I don't have it. I have no problem with individuals doing what they want. I really don't. I used to be hardcore libertarian about it. But I've seen that it's never enough. It never is. It's like it never is enough. I just saw, like, and I see these stories all the time. This one girl was a wrestler. She was wrestling this person, and this person kept sticking their hand in her crotch, digging in her crotch, like basically it was so horribly pinned so it would all be over. And she went and actually said something about it after the meet, like, to her coach. It turns out, oh no, this person's trans, and this person has done this and made all of her own teammates feel uncomfortable doing this, and continues to do it in every meet she's in, every match she's in. But these kind of things are just, they're going to get worse and worse the more we move away from Christianity. They are. These Epstein files, they're going to get more widespread because everyone has that kind of depravity in them. You put yourself in a position of power, and literally you make the world around you the same way it was in ancient Rome and ancient Greece did during those times. The only reason we think it's so atrocious is because Christianity changed everything. That's the only reason we even think it's atrocious. You can sit there and say, no, it's not. No, it's not. I would say abuse of kids would be horrible. On what grounds? The world around you is showing your kids are just property. Just beat them. Shut up, kid. Go do what you're told. You're property to me. The women are property. And unless you actually, as unbelievers, you take the time to actually go and deeply study the history of what the world was like before Jesus Christ transformed it, then I don't think you truly care. Because you will just keep denying the reality, which, go read the book Dominion. It's a long, long book. I'm on my second time through, but it's written by an atheist. It's not written by somebody who's trying to make Christianity look better. There's a lot of things I disagree with him on about theology and things like that, mainly, but man, he lays out exactly how disgusting the world was. And you see that it still is disgusting in that way. Only people are forced to hide in the shadows and do it. All right. All right, guys. I've got to get off of here. I'm gonna I will try to. I know I missed so much of your all's. If you guys have like something you wanted me to discuss more, or again, I will. Joshua, if you still want to come up, we can make that happen sometime. Uh, maybe even like maybe even towards the end of the week or early next week, if you'd like. If there's something you guys want to talk about, let me know. But I, I might try to see. I know I say this a lot. I used to say it a lot. I might try to see if I can get maybe a trial for the StreamYard again. It's been like probably at least a year since I've had it, so I can start bringing people up and having guests and do that every now and then. Um, the only problem is I don't have a very good camera. My phone is much better. I have that, but um, we'll have to see how it goes. But I can bring one person up every now and then. Right now, we just have to make sure that I know ahead of time so I can set it up. And I guess what I'll do is just send you the invitation. Oh, we'll figure it out. But yeah, you guys let me know. Um, yeah, infrared Moses, you don't need the threat of punishment to be a good person. There's true Christians are not there. Sure, hell is absolutely something that's a realistic existence for us. But if you're living in a relationship with Christ, you should not be living in fear. You should not. True love erases all fear, as John says. And telling someone that they are driving 100 miles an hour down this desert road and they're going to plummet to their death, telling someone that is a lot different than fear mongering. It's an act of love. We're trying to tell you we don't want you to drive 100 miles an hour off the cliff. We want you to stop driving. But you're like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I'm already a six-pack in. I'm good. I'm just going to keep on driving. All the fun people will be in, all the things I hear, all the fun people will be in hell anyway. Those old memes and, well, that's another thing maybe we'll talk about later. But I love you guys so much. Yeah, please, if there's anything I missed that especially from you Christians, because I know I spent a lot of time on this tonight. If there's anything you want me to focus on, anything you like me to talk about, please let me know. If you're struggling or suffering in any way against Christianity or whatever, let me know. We'll see what you got. Absolutely, Josh. I love you, my brother. And Ken, I love you. And all you brothers and sisters, I love you so much. And I will talk to you tomorrow, probably starting about 10 to 10:30.